Hello there. So where are the Greta Thunbergs and pro-Pally marchers on this one then? Right now we have a militia group called the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, massacring their way through the African state of Sudan, including turning a hospital into a human slaughterhouse. 460 patients and their companions were killed at the Saudi Maternity Hospital in El Fasher, the capital of North Darfur State in Sudan. Yes, a maternity hospital. In fact, the gruesome truth of it can be seen from satellite imagery. The scenes and stories are too horrific to relate. And a deafening silence from the woke pro-Pally types. I wonder why, Richard. I wonder why.
Well, Jeff, that's because Israel wasn't involved. We know that. The selective outrage of the Greta Thunbergs is silenced every time Israel is not involved. There's only one conflict in the world for them, and that's it. The only other time they might come out is if there's some reason to hate the West, to hate Britain, but in particular, to hate Israel and Jews. Okay, and maybe I'll add Christians to that as well, to that list, but let's get back to the point here. What is happening in Sudan is horrific. I have seen things that I cannot unsee. Terrible things that have taken place to men, women and children, and you can, it's all over social media. And I actually think it should be, because we should know about this. If it was not for X, for instance, this would not be in the consciousness of the masses right now. People would just be going about their daily business, and but you know, it's like I can't see anything coming from our Home Secretary even, or our Prime Ministers. You know, they seem to be very quiet on this. Why, Jeff? Why?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the whole world, as soon as something happens in Gaza, explodes into activity. So, you know, and social media is set alight across the board because the Israelis retaliated to something that was done to them. And the very fact that the woke internationalist communists in the UK are silent about the Sudan atrocities tells us all we need to know about their true anti-Semitic motives. And it also tells us that they are not full of empathy to those who are truly being persecuted. They can't be, otherwise they would be shouting it out from the rooftops like we are today. They should be, but they're not, and they will not, because, as you say, Israel and the Jews are just not involved in it. And that really is the truth of it, isn't it, Richard?
Yes, Jeff. I have looked via social media into the eyes of a woman protecting her children. The next thing after that, the footage I have seen was taken, that woman and her children were no longer with us. I've looked into their eyes. We must not look away. We dare not look away at this footage and these images. And we need everybody, please, watching this. You must spread the message. You must share what you can. Obviously, it's going to be bloody upsetting when you see some of the footage of what's taking place in Sudan. But I can't turn my face away. I can't. I mean, there are those who say, well, you know, what about Gaza? I'm saying, yes, we know about Gaza. Terrible things happened in Gaza. Terrible things have happened in Israel. But terrible things are happening elsewhere as well. I think there's oversaturation, to be honest with you, with what has been taking place in Gaza. And I question some of the validity of some of that footage as well, incidentally. Not all of it. I'm not denying what's going on there. I'm not some blind Zionist. No, far from it. Everybody, all sides in the conflicts across the Middle East have got some blood on their hands somewhere. Have no doubt of it. But when I take a look at what's happening in Africa right now, in Sudan and in Uganda and in Nigeria, you realize that there's a war taking place. And then when you see the sides taking the dominant aggressor, I should say, the dominant aggressor in these conflicts, there is great, unfortunate commonality. Jeff.
Yeah, so we come on to it. Who or what is this Rapid Support Forces? Well, you probably haven't heard of it before, and it's all involved in a potential civil war genocide in the heart of Africa. And it's not Israel doing it or funding it. It is a United Arab Emirates funded setup with what appears to be some minor US involvement on the side, with the RSF being based around the Janjaweed or Devils on Horseback militia. And although reportedly anti-Islamist, oh yes, that's what they say, the RSF does seem intent on attacking non-Arab citizens. It is extremely complicated and extremely deadly, especially to the innocents caught up in it. And I'll just show you where it is in the world, so you're in no doubt. Here's a map. There you have the Red Sea, and to the north you have the Mediterranean. There's Egypt, and then there's Sudan with a big arrow pointing at the north, the first state, with Al-Fasher there just in the middle, or just to the bottom in the middle. That's where this is taking place right now, today. This isn't some 500-year-old thing you can blame on the Brits or something you can blame on the Israelis today. No, it's happening there, and it's happening to people right now, and there is absolutely no outrage from anyone. And I'll just read you what the BBC has to say about this as well. If you want to believe the BBC, well, in this case, they seem to be pretty even-handed about it, so let's see what they have to say. Sudan plunged into a civil war in April 2023 after a vicious struggle for power broke out between its army and a powerful paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. It has led to a famine and claims of a genocide in the Western Darfur region, with fears for the residents of the city of El Fasher after it was recently captured by the RSF. More than 150,000 people have died in the conflict across the country, and about 12 million have fled their homes in what the United Nations has called the world's largest humanitarian crisis.
Yes. Well, why, I'm sorry, Jeff, that can't be true, obviously, because otherwise I'm sure we would see our streets filled with protesters, particularly from the Middle East and North Africa, and for actual, well, I would just say the international community would be, representatives would be there at marches speaking, saying, we have to stop this. People like Jeremy Corbyn would be there flying the flag for the innocent people of Sudan. And there is a huge racial component in this conflict. And that cannot be forgotten either, where you have, let's just say, Arabs and Arab-influenced militias. I want to use a different word. Militias who are going specifically in many cases against people who are darker in their skin colour. And I don't want to go any further on that. It's disgusting. I mean, we hear so many conversations on the left about racism, yet when they're presented with a genuine genocide, with a huge racial component, they remain utterly silent, Jeff. Correct. Disgusting. They make me feel sick. Jeff, what I want to know is, where is our Prime Minister and our Foreign Secretary? Why aren't they talking about this? Why aren't they standing there at the podium talking about the genocide that's taking place? It's just silence across the Western world.
Yep.
Do these people mean so little? If that's the case, I would say that there is a racial component in the lack of anger and outrage from the left. Maybe they are racist. Jeff.
Yeah, and not a squeak, as you say, from the likes of the UK woke communists who have spouted so endlessly on about the so-called genocide in Gaza. But what's happened in Gaza is nothing compared to what's happened in Sudan. As Jake Wallace-Simons reports in The Telegraph, this bloodbath absolutely dwarfs Gaza in scale. Oh, yes, it does. And there are no humanitarian corridors. Oh, no, there is no escape for the poor victims there. And unlike in Gaza, there are no leaflet drops to warn innocents to flee an imminent attack. Oh, no text to their phones. No phone calls and none of the leaflets. The millions upon millions of leaflets that were dropped in Gaza to warn innocent people, none of that. None of that to help them in Sudan flee an imminent attack. There is no provision of aid. Absolutely none. Nothing. Where is the outcry on all of that? And not even the pretense of distinguishing between civilians and combatants. But more tellingly, there are no marches on the streets of London to draw it to people's attention and get it stopped. No, it's all about supporting Hamas in Gaza, even now that a tenuous peace deal has been reached. All they're interested in doing is supporting Hamas against the existence of Israel. That's all that matters to these useful idiots of basically the Iranian regime. And the hideously wealthy Hamas leaders based in Qatar. What a disgusting, totally disgusting situation to be in. And we should look down on those Hamas supporting people with total disdain and disgust. What do you reckon, Richard?
Yes. Those people who support Hamas. Oh, okay. So many of those people who are on the streets of this country and in other countries say they're not supporting Hamas. They're just supporting the Palestinian people. I'm like, oh, okay, right. So why are you opposing Israel's reaction to terrorism? That's the question. If you were so supportive of the Palestinian people, you would understand that the people who are in charge of Palestine or Gaza in this specific instance are terrorists, and that those people are Hamas, and they have waged war on Israel. So you support the people, so you are against the people who are at war with terrorism, which pretty much makes you a supporter, I think, of Hamas, in my book anyway. And aside from that, I think secretly there are many of those on the left who just do support Hamas, even if they say they don't. But today isn't about Hamas. Today we need to remember those men, those women, those children. I mean, for goodness sake, Jeff, we have seen the footage. You've got people digging their own graves, and then they are forced to bury themselves alive.
Yep. And that's in Sudan right now. Not yesterday and not years ago, not last century. This is now, today. And no one's out there, are they, from these woke lefties who are going, oh dear, we must do this, we must do that. No, they're not interested. They're only interested in one thing. That's destruction of Israel. They don't care about anything else. And remember that every single time you see them marching.
Well, they're still marching when there was granted, the peace deal is looking very shaky, yet they were still marching against Israel. You'd swear they didn't want a peace deal. But as I said, I'm thinking so much about. I can't stop thinking. I get the images of these poor people out of my mind. I suggest that you don't go looking for it. But if you do come across it, don't look away. Don't look away. That's you know. I don't want to say too much, Jeff, because some of that content is utterly horrific, and for a change, I am utterly lost for words.
Yes.
Awful, awful, awful. So,
Yeah.
I think
All I
that's-
can
that's
say,
all I've
ladies
got
and
to say.
gentlemen, all I can say is think about them and pray for them. And I'm going to leave it at that because it is too horrific to go further.